الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على محمد رسول الله سيد الأولين والآخرين وإمام الأنبياء والمرسلين والشافع المشفع يوم الدين، وعلى آله الطيبين وأزواجه الطاهرات أمهات المؤمنين وصحابته الغر الميامين ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، حياكم الله, my dear brothers and sisters, to this second session of the explanation of the 40 ahadith. We are still with the first hadith. We just emphasized the importance of these 40 ahadith and taking the benefits from them, and we spoke about what the ulama said about these 40 ahadith, what the ulama said as in regard to the first hadith. The ulama have said a lot about the first hadith. First hadith was reported by Bukhari and Muslim and others, and Imam Bukhari have reported this hadith in 7 places in his book. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he explained this hadith in the explanation of Sahih Muslim, and he said that this hadith, the Ummah has agreed about the greatness of it, and that it has a lot of benefits. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said that this hadith enters in 70 chapters of fiqh. In 70 chapters of fiqh. Some other scholars said that this hadith is 1/3 of Islam, and some others said it is 1/4 of Islam. This hadith is from what is known by ahadith al-ahad, meaning there is no any other sahabi reported it from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam but Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu. And from Umar, no tabi'i has reported that but Alqama ibn Waqqas al-Laythi. And from Alqama, there is no tabi'in, students of the Sahaba, has narrated that from him, from Alqama, except Muhammad ibn Ibrahim al-Taymi. And from Muhammad, no one has reported it but Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari. And from Yahya ibn Sa'id, many people has took it and narrated it and spreaded it. As Imam Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali said in his book Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam, and Ibn Hajar also said that as in his book At-Talkhis al-Habir. And there is something as the ulama call it طرفة أو طرف الإسناد, meaning something so special in the chain of narration, that 3 of the narrators are tabi'een, and they narrate, although they are tabi'een, meaning same generation students, and they are students of the Sahaba, but they narrate one from the other. Yahya ibn Sa'id narrates it from Muhammad ibn Ibrahim al-Taymi, and Muhammad narrated it from Alqama ibn Waqqas al-Laythi, and all of them are tabi'in. So this hadith is a great hadith, a noble hadith, hadith of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, where he said that إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Verily deeds are only with intentions. Verily every person will have only what they intended. Whoever emigrated to Allah and His Messenger, meaning for the cause of Allah, his immigration is for Allah and His Messenger based on his intention. Whoever emigrated to get something in the world, in this world, or to marry a woman, his immigration is for that which to which he immigrated. What did the ulama say about this? What did the ulama say about this? The ulama said that this hadith is so great, as you heard. Some said that it's 1/3 of the Quran, of Islam, of the religion of Islam. Some said it is 1/4. And the reason why they said that is no deed is accepted, no deed is counted for the one who does it, except that which was preceded by a good intention, and it is established upon the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When any deed misses one of these two, then it's not valid. It's not valid. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالِ. إِنَّمَا is a proposition. To leave nothing, be excluded of all the deeds that person does to seek pleasure of Allah and nearness with Allah. None of any of these deeds, worshipping deeds, except that it must have this ruling which is going to follow. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, meaning deeds are only considered according to their intentions which preceded them, not after. I must precede them. The intention comes first, then the action comes second. The ulama said there is no any deed that could be considered without an intention. And they say that, for example, purity, wudu, taking shower, tayammum, cannot stand to Allah to make the person, to make the person's prayer accepted, unless this thing, the purity, had a previous intention for it. Meaning, if someone took shower to cool his body down or to clean his body with no intention of raising purity, whether major or minor, and then when he comes out of the shower room, he says that, let me pray with that Say no. You can't pray with that. While if he had the intention to lift up the impurity, even if the shower is not for janaba, it's not for major impurity, but he wanted to cool down his body or to clean up his body, but he had the intention before taking shower that this shower I need to make it so that I can pray with it. With this intention, yes. Yes. Likewise, prayers. So it distinguishes between the actions themselves and it distinguishes between the worshiping acts themselves, and it distinguishes between the habits and the worships, and also it distinguishes whether this, for example, this purity limited for something or made general. If you had the intention limited to a particular worship, then the ulama differed on doing any other worship that requires purity with that purity which was done based on an intention to do only that worship. You understand this? Likewise, prayers. If you are performing 2 rak'ah optional prayers, and after you finished, you said, yeah, I didn't pray the 2 rak'ah before Fajr. Okay, that's for it. We say, no. You just remembered when you already started, and even when you already finished. No, that's incorrect. You have to have this intention before you begin your salah. Same as if you missed the 2 rak'ah before Fajr and you done the Fajr Fard and then you went to sleep. You woke up 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that. And then you made wudu and you wanted to pray 2 rak'ah of duha. Sorry, maybe 2 and 2 for duha, with the intention for duha. After you finish the second 2, you said, oh, I didn't pray the 2 rak'ah of Fajr. Okay, then 2, which I have done, first 2, that is for Fajr, second 2 for duha. We say, no. That doesn't work like that, because you began the 2 rak'ah, the first 2 rak'ah with niyyah of, with the intention of what? Of duha. And also the second 2 rak'ah, you began with the intention of duha. So you intended to do 4 rak'at for duha, 2 plus 2. Now you cannot change the intention after the action. Yes, you can change the intention, but before, pre to the action, not after the action. Not after the action. Same thing with fasting, same thing with Hajj, same thing. Yani all. But as for the najasa removal, if you need to go for your private business in the toilet, you don't need intention. You don't need any intention, because as they say, it is tark, and the tark or abandoning things does not need an intention. Does not need an intention. Intention also comes in issues like divorcing, freeing slave, criticizing a free woman of any wrong actions. So if you joke to your wife with talaq, then that is considered. Yes, it needs an intention to divorce, but the Prophet ﷺ exempted divorcing. He said, no jokes in divorce, nor in freeing one's slave. So if you intend the divorce, but you did not pronounce the divorce, you said you are free. But in your intention, you're not having this woman again as a wife. Then that is considered. The intention is considered. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Every individual will only have what he intended. What he intended. And then he ﷺ gave an example of that. He said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. He whoever his immigration was for the cause of Allah and His Messenger. For the cause of Allah and His Messenger. Then his immigration is for Allah and His Messenger. What does that mean? That means he will get the reward of emigrating for the cause of Allah and His Messenger, to please Allah and to follow the Messenger. So that is considered. That is rewarded. That is rewarded. But if he migrated, yes, from the land of Kufr to the land of Islam, but not for the purpose of emigrating. He left his land because there is an opportunity of job in the land that he went to. Or that there is a nice Muslim pious woman that he wants to propose to marry. Then, or any other purpose which is not related to or directly to the deen. Meaning, when you do something directly to the deen, and the intention was only for that, then you are rewarded. If you done it for a dunya purpose and it benefited religious wise, then that is not considered a ibadah, a worship. That's not considered a worship. That's why the ulama say they differ with this hadith between the adat, the customs, from the worships. They distinguish, they differentiate between what, with the intention, they differentiate between the adat, the custom, and the ibadah, the worship. Because the ibadah must have the intention pre to it, before starting it. Before starting it. So, this hadith is to make things clear, because many people confused in this matter, and they start something as a habit, as a custom, as a hobby, as whatever it is, and then they change it to in the middle of it, they change the intention to be a worship. We say no. Must be preceded by the intention. Must be preceded by the intention. You cannot have the intention halfway or after you finish. It must be before you start. Must be before you start. So this must be very clear to everyone. Must be very clear to everyone. Intentions are very, very important. And that's why the ulama kept saying that. Some of them said, I have struggled with nothing like it with intention. And the shaitan plays mostly in this parameter. In the parameter of intention. Because if the shaitan succeeded in destroying your intention, making it as a habit, making it showing off, then he has succeeded in making you lose the reward, if not sinning. Because in many cases, a person who does not have his intention clear, he'll be sinning. And maybe major sin. That's why we need to be careful, my brothers and sisters. When we do the worshipping deeds, we have to understand that this is something very dangerous, very sensitive. May Allah Ta'ala grant us success to keep our intentions all the time, pray to our deeds sincerely for Allah the Almighty, and make all our deeds based on the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Save us from the shirk and from the bid'ah, as these two destroys the deeds. May Allah Ta'ala keep us safe from the viruses, illnesses, innovations, associations, and everything that Allah Ta'ala doesn't like and that may harm us. Wallahu a'lam. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Here we end up today with the explanation or a bit putting the spotlight on the issue of intention based on the first hadith of the 40th hadith of Imam Nawawi, the hadith known by Hadith Al-A'mal bin-Niyat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you inshallah next Thursday with the second hadith, very important, and we are going to divide it into divisions because lots of speech need to be made there. Lots of explanations of issues of fiqh and issues of seeking knowledge, many issues inshallah, as we're going to see there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.